If you've been stuck training, eating clean, and doing cardio, but you still cannot see your abs, you clicked the right video. Most guys never break under 20% body fat. Not because they can't, but because they keep breaking these 5 rules. So after getting myself ripped and coaching busy men to get 6-pack lean, I'll show you the proven rules to make it happen without gimmicks or any fads. Just what works in the real world to get and stay lean. And this first one is compulsory for the rest of the rules. You've probably heard of the Japanese concept of Kaizen, meaning small continuous improvements for a long-term benefit. When you apply Kaizen to your biofeedback, it's more powerful than most guys realize. For example, a 2024 scientific review in the Obesity, Science and Practice found that people who tracked daily lost more fat and kept it off longer than those who didn't. But most guys skip this part. It's like trying to run a business without ever checking your profit and loss. You'll have no idea where the money's leaking out or why things are failing. Fat loss is the same. I never would have reached 11 to 30% body fat without tracking data that actually matters. Here's what I would track every day: your weight, calories, protein, your calorie burn, steps, sleep, and your workout data, obviously on workout days. Now, you can go a lot more deeper and track more, but for accurate weekly trends, these are non-negotiable. If you don't, you're going to miss out on real progress because fat loss is rarely ever in a straight line. The scale is going to bounce up and down and often stalls before it starts to drop again. And if you only see the higher numbers, you're going to feel demotivated and think that you're failing when you're actually not. Once you have that data, the patterns will start to appear and you will notice how certain foods, certain drinks will affect your weight and your energy day to day. You'll see what your true deficit actually is and what's just water and inflammation. Then you can adjust without panicking simply by auditing your data first. This makes your progress predictable and adaptable over the long term. And when the numbers start making sense to you, you'll see why going slower actually gets you leaner, faster, which we'll cover in this next point. If there's one thing that separates guys who actually get lean from those who burn out halfway, it's going to be your pace. I get that you probably want fast results yesterday, but the body doesn't reward fast results. It's always trying to adapt and optimize for your homeostasis. That's why you need steady, sustainable adjustments to allow your body to adapt over time. When I was cutting from around 20% down to 11, my target was only about a quarter to half a kilo, which is half to 1 pound per week. That's it. Because going faster meant eating less energy, feeling hungry all day, basically feeling like shit and struggling in every single workout. And this isn't just my opinion. A 2020 systematic review and meta-analysis published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that gradual weight loss is associated with a greater loss of fat mass and body fat percentage, preserved resting metabolic rate better than rapid cuts also, which shows that rushing your cut increases the risk of you slowing your metabolism and losing muscle. The most important thing in a cut is keeping your muscle so that you don't have to rebuild it again later. And it's your muscle that gives you this lean V-taper athletic look instead of just looking slim and flat. So it's this all or nothing mindset that typically makes guys overcommit, go hard, and then just burn out completely. If that worked once, it kind of makes you believe that going hard works and you can always just do that crazy shit again if you get fat in the future. Now, I don't know about you, but life is too short to be losing the same weight again and again. Lose it once the right way so you never have to do it again. The pace to start with is somewhere about half to 1 kilo, which is 1 to 2 pounds per week. But once you get to 20% or close to it, expect the pace to be around a quarter to half a kilo, half a pound to 1 pound per week. And this way you can keep your food more satisfying, keep your workouts progressing, and the system will be sustainable in real life. And if you're frustrated that your progress feels a little bit slow, that's actually a good sign, meaning that you're probably doing it right if you're in a deficit and tracking it like I've explained. But if you don't know how much weight to lose to hit that 15% or below, use my calculator. The link is right below the video in the description. Next, I will show you how you can burn more fat without feeling physically cooked and starved every single day. The biggest problem that kills most diets isn't a lack of motivation, it's your hunger. If you never felt hungry, dieting would just be a piece of cake. But what makes hunger worse is when you start stacking more intense cardio on top of an already intense lifting routine, thinking it's going to speed up fat loss. because that is the trap right there. Because if you're already in a deficit and you're training 4 to 5 days a week and then adding intense cardio, it's going to add more stress to your life, not necessarily more progress. Intense cardio can increase cortisol, spike your appetite a little bit more, and leave you feeling more inflamed and exhausted, which is prime rebound territory. Also, I've seen people who feel like the harder they train, the more food that they've earned, which is insane, because then they're just destroying their deficit by eating back the calories that they burnt off. That's why during my sustained 11 to 13% body fat, I swapped most of my cardio for LISS, which is low intensity, steady state movement or activity, like walking, incline treadmill, steady bike rides, and just more incidental steps throughout the day. Simple and easy activity below zone 2 or maximum up to 70% of your max heart rate, so you're not killing yourself and sweating up a storm, and didn't cause any muscle damage, didn't kill my workouts or jack up my appetite. But it did stabilize my energy, it loosened the tight muscles from training, and it reduced mental stress and helped with digestion. Think of it like this. HIIT is like a double espresso. It's like a quick hit with a big crash. LISS is like decaf coffee. Steady, smooth, but you're not going to burn out from it. Both work, but if you're doing 40 hours of work a week and you have family and a busy lifestyle, your priority should be sustainability, not intense burning out your body. It can be confusing because I've seen some studies say that HIIT improves fat oxidation and insulin sensitivity, and others say the opposite, that low intensity does this. So really, if calories burned are equal, both are going to work. But what matters is what you can actually sustain. For my clients, busy men dropping, 10, 30, even 50 pounds or more in realistic timeframes, lower intensity always wins. They don't want to feel starved and exhausted every day by shocking their body into intense HIIT cardio. Though they can get steps from anywhere consistently at any time without wrecking their schedule or having to change into their workout gear and get soaked in sweat and then have to go take a shower, which is all very time consuming and inconvenient. So if you're already lifting 3 times a week, you probably don't need more intensity on top of that. But more consistency in your LISS movement is what you need to focus on. If you're unsure of where to start, stand up right now and start moving around. It's that simple. Once you're consistently hitting 10,000 steps a day or more, this next rule will make losing belly fat even easier. Another key reason people fall off their diet isn't a lack of knowledge, but having too many choices. And if you're under the pump most days, these bad choices are the devil. The devil! Because once you give in to these temptations, like Mr. Pringle said, you can't stop. So when I was cutting from 20% to 11% body fat, I ate mostly the same meals every day. Was it boring? At times, a little bit. But it made tracking and meal prep so easy, saved me a lot of time, stopped me from mindless snacking that I didn't need, and I also started to enjoy clean food more than I ever have. Less of the crappy food. So predictable meals improved digestion and they kept energy stable because my gut wasn't getting smashed with random junk food every single day. And staying in a deficit is much more doable even with a hectic schedule when it's more systemized. When you reduce the variables, you gain more control. It's as simple as that. Now, I'm not saying eat the same chicken and sweet potato 4 times a day. I've done that and it absolutely sucks. I don't even like sweet potato anymore. You got to enjoy what you eat, and what that means is including some bad foods from time to time. This will help keep you mentally sane in a sustained deficit. But here's what I've noticed. Usually there are 2 types of guys. There's the cheat day crew who eat super clean for 5 to 6 days a week. Then they need 1 to 2 meals to get their fix. But they can't be tempted daily, otherwise they will lose control and blow everything out on a Tuesday. Then there's the daily fix crew who prefer a small treat every day, but they never go off the rails. Now, both camps work. You just need to know which camp you're in and structure your nutrition around that. I looked deeper into this, and it turns out that researchers have also studied food variety as well. In a 2012 study published in the Physiology and Behavior Journal, adults who ate a wider variety of foods, especially highly palatable foods, processed foods, consumed significantly more calories and had higher body weights. So the more variety you have, the more you'll probably eat without realizing it. Limiting variety isn't all about being restrictive. It's about being strategic. For example, keep your breakfast the same every day if you can, or skip it if you're using a fasting protocol. For lunch, same protein, same carb base, but you mix up the sauces if you need to. Dinner's a tricky one because the family aren't going to eat chicken and rice every single night. Probably won't love you forever if you do that. So I would rotate between a few family-friendly meals every week. It's still predictable, but it's not repetitive every single day. The simpler you make it, the easier it is to stay in a fat loss deficit long enough to get to that 15% body fat and realize how lean am I and how much leaner do I want to go. And once you've built that structure, you need to focus on this next rule to avoid the scale trap. Most guys are way too attached to the scale. And honestly, it's not their fault. We all want to see it go down because that's part of the goal. But it won't always drop when you want it to drop. You can eat perfectly for 5 days, nothing happens on the scale. And then just when you're ready to grab a sledgehammer and smash the shit out of it, boom, it drops down and you're like, oh great, this is what I wanted to happen last week. There's always a lag effect because the scale isn't just measuring fat, it's measuring your entire body. That's water, food, muscle, and all that is going to fluctuate every day. Even hour to hour, it's going to fluctuate. So when you get to 20% body fat or close to it, it can feel like the scale is lying to you. At that point, you need to stop letting it control your mood and start using it as just one piece of feedback. What gives you the real picture, if you look honestly without expectation, are your photos, your measurements, and your clothing. I remember when I was competing and my weight like barely moved for weeks, but every week I looked more shredded. Thankfully, my coach pointed this out and I just stopped stressing about it and said, okay, well, it's just one piece of data. So what you want to look for is your waist shrinking at the belly button level at least, more definition in your arms and shoulders, that typically happens first, and also your upper back down to the middle back. Then you'll notice your chest and obliques, and finally the hips, the middle and the lower abs will happen last. So take photos in the same lighting in the same spot at least every 4 weeks. That's how you're going to see true progress, because the goal was never just to lose weight. It's to look and feel athletic, fit, strong, and confident as you are. Your body is a reflection of your habits, and every time you see change, that is proof that your system is working. If you want me to help you build a system like this with you, one that fits your lifestyle and actually gets you lean, that's exactly what I do with my one-on-one clients inside my Metabolic Recon. Tap the link in the description to learn more, or if you would rather start at your own pace, grab all my systems inside the Business Body Blueprint routine. Link is also in the description. Then go watch this video next where I'll show you how I finally lost the lower belly fat.